How do I get a 300 MB/s connection over 802.11n? I just bought a new wireless setup, consisting of a Cisco E2000 router, Edimax 7718 USB adapter for my laptop and an Edimax 7728 inches PCI adapter for my HTPC, which is in a location I can run Cat5 to. I have to stay in the 2.4 GHz band because I have an iPhone and a Wii that will need to connect. I'm aware that 11 grams devices will drop speeds for 11M devices, but they aren't connected yet. The fastest connection I've been able to get, with the router within 5 feet of either the laptop or HTPC, is 144 MB/s. The router has settings for 20 MHz and auto, 20 MHz or 40 MHz, channel width, which I've set to the auto setting. I haven't been able to find anything similar for either of the Edimax adapters. This is the first I've dealt with 11N, so I'm not even sure what else could be causing a problem. How do I get up to 300 MB/s, or at least a fair bit closer?
To get 802.11n's 300 MB/s signaling rate, you have to do 2 spatial streams, aka 2x2, or 2T2R, 40 MHz channels, and a short, 400 ns, guard interval, short G. The fact that you're seeing a 144 MB/s signaling rate indicates that you've got the 2x2 and short G right, but you're only using 20 MHz channels instead of 40 MHz. I know there are some products that refuse to do 40 MHz channels in 2.4 GHz because that takes up too much of the 2.4 GHz band space, leaving no room for other uses of the band, such as Bluetooth, including your Wii remotes. But reviewing the specs of your Cisco/Lynx EZ2000 and those Edimax products, it seems like they should all support 40 MHz operation in 2.4 GHz. The IEEE 802.11n spec has a provision for 802.11n devices to signal that they are 40 MHz intolerant, to try to get 40 MHz capable 802.11n gear in their area to limit themselves to 20 MHz channels. For instance, a laptop with an 802.11n adapter and a Bluetooth adapter might signal this when it's using a 2.4 GHz 802.11n app that is 40 MHz capable. However, I'm not aware of any vendors that actually set or honor the 40 MHz intolerant bit at this time. My best guess is that you're hitting an interoperability bug. For some reason, your Edimax clients don't want to join your Cisco/Lynx E2000 using 40 MHz channels even though your E2000 is configured for it. (802.11n talks of 40 MHz operation in terms of 2 traditional 20 MHz channels used together. The control channel is the main channel that both 20 MHz and 40 MHz capable clients use, and the extension channel is the part that the 40 MHz clients use. The extension channel can either be above or below the control channel, as long as it doesn't go outside the band. For example, if your control channel is 1, your extension channel has to above, because anything below channel 1 would be below the lowest frequency allowed in the 2.4 GHz band. The extension channel has to be contiguous with the edge of the control channel, without overlapping. Because most of the 2.4 GHz 802.11 channels overlap, channel 5 is the above channel for channel 1. There are varying notations for the control and extension channels. Often the control channel number is given, followed by a +1 or a -1 to show that the extension channel is above or below, respectively. So the situation I described as control channel on 1, extension channel on 5, might be shown as 1,1 or 1,+1 or even 1+. In the US, Canada, and any other country that adopted us FCC-like regulations where we only have 11 2.4 GHz channels, there are 14 valid control/extension channel layouts, but only 4 of them are commonly used, because it's a good idea to stick to the non-overlapping channels of 1, 6, and 11. Europe, or any other region that follows the ETSI regulations, would add the following possibilities. I suppose it's possible that your app or your clients can't handle every possible valid combination of control, extension, or maybe you left your app on channel auto selection and it was accidentally auto selecting an invalid combination like 11, plus 1. You might try manually setting your app to 1, plus 1, as that's a pretty common arrangement, and see if your clients can handle that. Another thing to check is your encryption type. Make sure you've got ICCMP, WPA2, enabled. The RC4 stream cipher engines included in early 802.11 chip hardware, used poorly by WEP, and less poorly by KIP, generally can't keep up with 802.11n speeds. Because of this, the IEEE 802.11n spec requires that ICCMP be used for 802.11n connections. Unfortunately, some vendors haven't done a good job of enforcing this in their setup UI, so they may have allowed you to choose 802.11n mode without requiring ICCMP to be enabled. It's unlikely, but within the realm of possibility, that your clients are seeing that the app isn't set up for ICCMP, and so are limiting themselves to data rates they know their RC4 engines can handle. No security is also valid, so if you're in a situation where you don't need your data link layer to provide confidentiality, you can always go that way. Overall, if it's not too late to return your new wireless gear for a full refund, I'd recommend you return it all and pick up a simultaneous dual-band app. Your Cisco/Linksys Z2000 is only one band at a time, and dual-band wireless client cards, your EDIMAX cards of 2.4 GHz only. That way you can use fast 40 MHz channels in the less crowded 5 GHz for your pieces, and leave your legacy devices to use a 20 MHz channel in 2.4 GHz, leaving enough free space in the 2.4 GHz band that it doesn't screw up your Wii remotes, other Bluetooth devices, and other devices using the 2.4 GHz band. Some of the latest gear that has come out in the last few months supports 3 spatial streams, 3x3, allowing for signaling rates up to 450 MB/s. Look up the Wi-Fi certificate for the devices you're thinking about purchasing, and make sure they're certified for final, not draft, 802.11n, 2 or 3 spatial streams, 40 MHz operation in 5 GHz, WMM, and all the rest. Here's a good example.
As has already been mentioned, 300 MB/s is an essentially fictional marketing term. This is actually the first point discussed in the article over at smallnetbuilder.com I'm recommending. Here's a link to it, 5 ways to fix slow 802.11n speed. I think you may already be familiar with most of what it covers, but the last point about the pitfalls of using channel bonding, aka 40 MHz bandwidth, might possibly be of interest. What tools are you using to measure your actual throughput? With my 802.11n I never seem to get much above, say, 10 Mbps. More typically it's 6 to 8.